You turn my morning into dancing. Your love changes everything. There's something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. 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 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing. 'Cause your love changes everything. Your love changes everything. Oh, there's something about your love, something about your love changes everything in my body. Oh, something about your love, something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. It changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything, changes everything. Something about your love, something about your love changes everything. You turn my morning into dancing. You turn my morning into dancing.
Good morning, Rooted Men. Nice to have you with me this morning. Little brisk out there this morning.
A little bit.
So, last night we were at Tom's house and we went through that real talk. That was pretty cool. It was kind of neat to have a bunch of people just chatting and asking questions, and Tom freestyling a little bit. It was pretty neat. Who we got with us this morning? We got Chuck B. He's with us this morning. Shalom, Chuck. And Ken Gooch. Good morning, fellow brothers in arms. Never get that right. Shane, good morning, Shane.
Shane.
And Chris Connolly's here. And Bert Reggiani's here.
Hey, Bert.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. All right. And it says we have 11 people online. But that's who commented. So, this guy here too. But we don't like him. All right. Yesterday, Tom talked a little bit about in his devotion that the 2 Corinthians. He talked a little bit about how Paul called them the Corinthian church their beloved, and how we should root ourselves in the right kingdom, take the cleansing ourselves of all the roots that are maybe not in productive stuff in this kingdom. Disconnecting, I think, is the word he used for the roots in this kingdom. And today we're going to go a little different. It's funny, this same overarching theme that seems to be happening on through the whole book of 2 Corinthians, how Paul is having to defend himself a little bit. I mean, it's pretty clear that he was under attack, and it was pretty clear that he was having to defend himself against something, against somebody. But let's get started with it, and we'll kind of catch up, and we'll talk about it. Hopefully you can read that. Funny thing is, I can't. All right, it says, make room in your hearts. For us, of course. Make room in your hearts for us. We have wronged no one. We have corrupted no one. We have taken advantages of no one. I love how he does that. We have wronged no one. We have corrupted no one. He goes through a list. These are obviously the accusations that have been leveled against him. We have, we have wronged no one. We have, in 2 Thessalonians, he has similar words. Actually, 1 Thessalonians as well, 2:9. His first letter, he says, for you remember, brothers, our labors and toil. We worked night and day that you might not be a burden to that we might not be a burden to any of you while we proclaim to you the gospel of God. Or in 2 Thessalonians, which I talked about earlier, nor did we eat anyone's bread without paying for it, but with toil and labor we worked night and day. So Paul is reminding him, you can see that he's reminding him that I haven't asked anything of you. I am bringing, other than obedience to the word that I'm delivering. And all I can figure is that since he's under attack, and it kind of leans toward the thought that it was the Judaizers, the people that were trying to bring Jewish law back into the church, people, or could have been the pagans that were bringing pagans culture back into the church. It doesn't really matter. It's false teaching. It was against the beliefs of Jesus or the churches Paul has developed it at this point. But then he just makes this huge shift and change. And then he goes right into verse 3 where he says, I do not say this to condemn you. I said that before that you were in our hearts and died together and lived and to live together. and I'm acting with great boldness toward you. I have great pride in you, and I am filled with comfort in all our affliction. I am overflowing with joy. It's quite a change of pace. I mean, he goes right from defending himself, it seems like, to telling him how happy he is and how filled with happiness that he is. I think what we see here is a little bit of maybe there's some reconciliation. Maybe there's some hope. Maybe the church today then was starting to repent a little bit from some of the stuff that was going on, and they were starting to understand what Paul was trying to say. But also, it's kind of like your kids when your kids get it for the first time, and you teach them and you teach them and you teach them, and they reject some things you say, and then all of a sudden one day they do something that makes you go, "Oh, awesome," because it's different. Today's church is not much different than it was back in Paul's day. We have churches now that are teaching the theology that sometimes flies in the face of the Christian beliefs. They're teaching things that are of this world, and that is a caution to every church that we don't stray from the truth. God's truth doesn't change. God doesn't change. So if the message is changing, we need to really be cautious about who's changing that message. And that's what I have for you today, boys. It's short and sweet, and I love it that way, but I hope it was a blessing to you. I got a dog barking in the background. Isn't that great? And Kevin showed up. Hey, Kevin, nice to see you here. All right. Have a firmly rooted day, boys, and may someone see Jesus in you. Peace.